All right,
Yeah. Okay.
we're recording now, man. What's up, Nathan?
Okay. Not too much. How about you?
Well, I'm glad we were able to figure out this Discord clean
Yeah.
feed thing. That echo was driving me nuts. That was the first time that ever happened on clean
Yeah.
feed.
Yeah. That's weird. Yeah.
That was freaking weird. Dude, the reason why I wanted to get you on the show was, in all honesty, so I had an episode a couple episodes ago with this Christian pastor or whatever,
Yeah.
named
Yeah.
Andrew, and he's cool as hell. He was cool as hell, and I just
hmm
figured I was like, all
hmm
right, like we had a nice conversation. It was over an hour long, blah blah blah, podcast, blah blah blah. I was like, I would only feel cool also if I got someone who
hmm
might be on the opposite end of that as well,
Yeah.
or at least someone who
Yeah.
because I saw that you study not just the history of atheism, but also like you're doing a deep dive into the history of the word racism, which is pretty cool.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
have a PhD, which means like, wow, you forgot more things than I even know. So that's cool. Also, and before we get
Yeah.
into anything, I don't want this to be like some I got you or anything. Just like for me personally,
Uh.
I know for the past several years I've been just so annoyed with people who claim to be atheists on the internet, because
Uh.
it just seems
Right.
to
Yes.
me they're just doing the same thing that religious people used to do. Where like religious people don't
Uh-huh.
even bother me anymore, because it's like, dude, just
hmm
let him believe in Santa Claus. Like let him let him believe. Like what? It's not gonna. What's it doing? So I just wanted
Yeah.
to let that be known before like 30 minutes in
Right.
you find
Right.
out and you feel like you're in like some weird trap or something.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well, I listened to that episode actually that you had with Andrew Rappaport. Yeah. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely a lot of things like I disagree with in that case. But so yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to talking with you more about it, and hopefully, yeah. I mean, not that I can sort of speak on behalf of all atheists or anything like that, but I mean, I can definitely provide my own perspective on it. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, whatever. So that's awesome that you listened to the episode. Thanks for that. I think you're the first person
Mhm.
who ever came on the show that listened to one of my
Okay.
episodes in full. It's a small.
Right.
It's been a short coming though. This show. It's only been a little more than a month. But
Yeah.
yeah. What were some of the things that you remembered from that episode that you would say either agree or maybe even obviously disagree from that episode?
Yeah. Well, I think the title of the episode was "Atheism is a Religion," if I remember that correctly.
That is,
And I mean,
yeah.
I think that's okay. I mean, that's definitely something I disagree with. Um, I think like there's sort of a, a joke like atheism's a religion in the same way that like bald is like a hair color, and I mean like I guess the thing is like atheism isn't a religion in the sense like there's no dogma, there's no holy book, there's no priests, there's no like there's no grand priest of atheism who sort of tells every atheist what to believe or something like that. So I mean, and there's no kind of like institutional structure where atheists go every week to worship and like be told what they believe and things like that. So I think it's sort of, yeah, I don't think it's right to say that it's a religion. I mean, it's like it's a very limited thing in that it's the absence of the belief in God. Um, and then many things sort of flow from that. But I don't think it's right to say that it's a religion. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that was I forget who brought it up first, atheism being a religion, whether it was me or Andrew.
Yeah. Not
Um,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, I enjoy naming the titles like the most, I guess you
Yeah.
can say, clickbaiting thing you can,
Yes.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
but when it's from the episode, like, and that was at
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
point
Right.
said in the episode, so I was like, all right,
Mhm.
this is a great, like my next coming episode is I think cancel Betty White or something. So like,
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's definitely gonna get lots of clicks then.
hopefully, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to lie to people, but I do want to bring something to the title that's from the show. So
Yeah.
I
No,
wouldn't.
definitely. Yeah.
I don't know enough about the definition of religion to say atheism is a religion.
Mhm.
I do, and this
Mhm.
is when I had my old YouTube channel. I do believe atheism, though, is an ideology. And I remember a lot of people saying, no, it's not. It can't be an ideology.
Mhm.
And because I guess it's the it's the thought process of not believing in a specific ideology or something like that. I'm like, but based off what an ideology means and based off the word idea, it is an ideology. I don't know what your thought process on that is.
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I think there's probably two things you could say. Like, on the one, you could say, well, it's a very limited like thing. Like, it's just about not believing in a God, so it's very limited in that way. But I mean, and so like one could say like, well, it's like, you know, not believing in Santa Claus or something isn't an ideology. But I think there's like, mm, I sort of feel like there's a lot of things, like I said, that go along with being an atheist as well. It's not just about not believing in God. I mean, you also typically you believe other things as well. Like you believe in that the universe is there's just like sort of a material world. There's no kind of supernatural element. I think that's something most atheists probably agree as well. So there's sort of a view of like of reality that most atheists share. Also, I think there's also kind of I think political views that probably follow from atheism too. I think to a lesser extent. I mean, like for example, you don't support sort of like religious domination. So like most atheists would probably be secular in the sense that they want to see a separation of church and state and like freedom from religion. So I think there's like, in the one sense, atheism is a very narrow definition, but there's also a whole bunch of other things that flow from it. So I don't think I wouldn't necessarily like be very opposed to saying it's an ideology, although I say that just tentatively.
You actually brought up kind of what the main argument was for it, because the belief, because I guess when it comes to atheism, the core definition is either a disbelief or a lack of belief in God or the existence of God. But the thing, so now why do you believe that? Do you fully disbelieve God, or do you have a lack of belief, and why either one of those?
Yeah, I think this is like another kind of issue with the definition. Like on the one hand, like is it a lack of belief, or is it more of a positive belief that like I know there isn't a God? And I think for me, I mean, I think it's more of a lack of belief. Like I don't, I could never say for sure that there's no God. I mean, I think it's really, really, really unlikely, but I would never want to say like 100% I know with absolute certainty. So in that sense, for me, I think it's more of a disbelief. But it's not. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess I can get into like why I don't believe in it. If that, yeah.
I think, I think that's why I think atheism does fall under the line of ideology, because if you disbelieve something, you have to have the belief on why you disbelieve it. It's like, I disbelieve that I disbelieve this. It's like, well, why do you disbelieve this? Because I believe that it's like basically to have even it's almost like to have like a reaction, you need an action or whatever. Yet again, you're the one with the PhD. I'm not the smart one here. But to not believe in something, like if I don't believe the sky is blue, it's like I must believe that this. If I don't believe the sky is good blue right there, like I don't believe it. So I believe in my disbelief.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Like that there is there's some kind of like positive thing that you do think is true. And I think that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I mean, yeah.
You're like, yeah, man, yeah. I get what you're putting down, but no, I like what you said, man. The whole fucking just you have, just because you have a belief or on something, like you don't want to necessarily go like, yeah, this is 100% without a doubt, which I think is honestly, I think that's one of the best, if not the best, ways of having a thought, because I think that's where most of the problems arise, especially like when you're just chatting with someone, on like Twitter or whatever. Like you can't read the body language. They can only really type so much when they could probably say a lot more, where it's just the main problem arises is when things are in such absolutes, and then you get the two absolute sides clashing, and it becomes this fucking insane confrontation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and definitely, I mean, like, definitely discussions like on the internet, like can tend to go that way.
Yeah.
Just because, like you say, I mean, like, it's totally different. I mean, if you were meeting the person like face to face, like you would definitely never like talk to them the way people talk to each other on the internet. I think there is like something about like you say, like when you don't have that body language and like you're not looking at the person in the eyes and like seeing their facial expressions and so on, like I guess you sort of like there's that lack of empathy or something that kind of is naturally maybe built into like just sort of interacting with someone over a screen or whatever. Which does make these kind of discussions sometimes not very pleasant, I guess.
100%.
I just wanted to say one thing, like you're saying at the start about sort of like annoying atheists online. And I definitely, I definitely think that's definitely a thing. There's no question about that. I mean, I sort of feel like, and I mean, I don't know if I was ever like a super annoying atheist online, but I mean, like maybe. So I used to be a Christian. In my early 20s, I sort of switched to being an atheist, and so that was about 10 years ago. And I think there probably was a brief time there when I was kind of like not super obnoxious, but like I think anyone who kind of like their worldview kind of changes, they're eager to like
let everyone
tell
know
everyone about it. Yeah, exactly.
And put it in their Twitter bio and be like, I'm this, and I'm gonna now stand for this.
Yeah, because it's like, it was like a big, probably for that person, it was like a huge revelation. They're like, why doesn't everyone just think like this now? And I think there's like a rush to share that kind of like newfound view with everyone, and like
I learned
and
something.
To convince everyone that they that view must be right. But I think for me anyway, and I think for a lot of atheists, maybe there is that like initial phase where you want to like tell everyone about it and like tell everyone how they're wrong and like stuff like that. But I think like there's a period where you kind of mellow out a bit, and I think that's what happened with me.
You stopped giving a fuck.
I mean, like obviously, I think it's still an interesting thing to talk about, and like if someone wants to talk about it, then I'm definitely interested in talking about it. But I don't really want to go out and like try and bait people into having a discussion about this or something like that. I'm happy for people to, to respect people's beliefs and let them, believe whatever. And if they want to talk about it, then that's great. But yeah, I mean, it just I feel like, in the past like 10 years or whatever, there's been a lot of like the number of atheists and non-religious people is growing. And so there's probably been a lot of people who are doing that online, basically, like as they sort of, change their views, they want to tell everyone about it. And I think that's where maybe that this sort of phenomenon of like obnoxious online atheists comes from.
That's what I was actually.
But I don't.
Oh no,
yeah.
I was going to say to that the numbers growing. That's what I was telling Andrew, is that we live in a day and time where, at least from my point of view, is that I see so many more people who are obviously not religious, and also people who identify as atheists and everything. And while that time's going on, we also, and this is, this just based off a couple of YouTube videos I watched. Yeah, again, don't have a PhD. But we live in a time where it's actually the most peaceful in human history. And I know that sounds weird because like all we see is violence and chaos on the news and everything. But if you actually just take a step back and look at like a chart of human history, there's really, there's not a lot of major war. There's a lot less death percentage wise than there was, not so even long ago. So I don't know if you have any study, like if you studied anything on that about how we live in a more, scientific atheist kind of mindset timeline today, and it's also very more peaceful today.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that is true. Like it like you say, like it is more peaceful. Like there's no like, world wars going on or something like that. And I think like in the society, violence has declined, even though it seems like it's increasing, just because of media coverage and stuff like that. Nonetheless, it does seem to be declining. I think there's like, it's hard to know whether it's like a cause or an effect of more like a more non-religious society. Like, is the fact that societies are becoming more non-religious, does that make them more peaceful? Or is it like sort of the fact that these societies are more peaceful means that there are more non-religious people? I mean, it's sort of hard to kind of tell which is the cause and the effect. I sort of feel like it's probably a bit of both. I mean, that like more stability allows people to well, I think like in unstable conditions, maybe you might want to like find stability in religion, and like the community of religion and so on, and also that community could provide like a social safety net for you, that religions used to, well, and still do to some extent, support charity. Like if you're struggling with money or something, maybe you could go to your church or whatever, and they would help you out. But I think in more stable times, then maybe people don't need that sort of support, and therefore they might tend to drift away from religion. But at the same time, I think there's also the opposite trend, I guess, that non-religious people are interested in like building social safety nets and things like that outside of religion, and therefore that also creates more sort of stable, peaceful, equal societies, I think.
Gotcha. Do you think throughout human history, religion was like the main or one of the main causes of conflict between humans?
It's definitely one of the causes. I mean, I think some probably people say like, so there's a book by Christopher Hitchens, this famous atheist who said the title was God is not great, and then the subtitle was How Religion Poisons Everything. And his view was, I mean, it seems like every problem can be kind of traced down to religion, but I don't think that's true. I mean, like,
this guy's dead. I remember this guy.
He died about, I think, just like it was just the 10
He's got some
10-year
funny
anniversary
snippets. Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean, he's a really great speaker, but I think he maybe overreached in that particular case. I mean, like, there's plenty of other reasons for people to have conflicts, in terms of like desiring someone else's resources, or having or just political disagreements, or like ethnic prejudices, or things like this. But I think like religion, if you add religion to the mix, that probably exacerbates the problem. So like, for example, a lot of like Western colonialism, obviously, there was kind of like material desires, to put it one way, like like the colonizing powers desired the wealth of other countries. But then they like imperialism is also justified by saying like, these people are not, they're heathens or whatever. They're like, we want to convert them to our religion, like at the same time as like um, getting their resources or whatever. So I think like, yeah, I don't think religion is the main or only source of conflict, but it can maybe exacerbate things when it's kind of added to the mix, I would say.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never read that book. I would want to read it to get it, a real good grasp on what it's all about, obviously. But
Mm. Mm.
what's it called? When it, because at least my mindset is, and I would guess yours is too, is that like religion was created by us people. We had the idea of religion, and whichever religion that is. I mean, almost all the ideas we came up with are from people. Maybe a couple from a dolphin and like a sea turtle, but
Right, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would just say like at the core of it, it's human conflict is it's humans because we created religion and then we created different types and we decided as different people decided to believe in different beliefs and different religions and different ideologies. So at the end of the day, it's like no matter what happens, I don't think it's fair to either blame religion or atheism. Kind of like, it's not fair to blame like the drug or the gun or whatever. It's the person who's the source of the conflict. It's like I remember me and my old co-host Jem, we were we were in a debate which we were just like in a corner in. Oh, by the way, your mic's making this weird hissing sound.
Maybe.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah,
No, trust me, my heater sometimes kicks in, and I'll turn it. I'll fucking run to that thing. Okay. We were having a debate about like how I don't remember the exact views the people we were talking to from. We were just so like intimidated because we're like, what the fuck? Thousands of people are watching. Like, what the fuck? We were so like, we were just two idiots coming into like we thought we were walking into a bar fight. We're like, no, we walked into like a formal debate with suit and ties.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
There are a lot of people who want to say burn the Quran, right? Or just like get rid of it. And it's just like, listen, man, at the end of the day, if you think people are being brainwashed from like birth to believe in an ideology, it's the people who are teaching them. The book is just a book. It can't do anything. It's paper, it's pages. Yes, there's ideas and everything on there, and someone could read it and really, but that's the thing. If someone as an adult reads that and say shoots John Lennon, it's not Huckleberry Finn's fault. It's the person who I think that was the book, by the way. It's the person, and then it's
okay.
I forget actually.
Yeah.
Is it? By the way, is it Huckleberry Finn? I don't think it's Huckleberry Finn.
I'm not sure.
Oh fuck! But and the other way around, if someone, if someone say at a young is trying to indoctrinate someone at a baby's age all the way to it's the person who's doing that to that person. It's the pages in between. That's just in a way like the weapon they're using, if you want to call it that. Like there's probably a better word. That's the item they're using. It doesn't without the person using that item. It's just an item.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see what you mean, and I agree to some extent. I think like it seems like most holy books, like if you want to find an interpretation to support your own like actions, you can do it because there's a ton of different ways of interpreting the books and so on, and like there's a lot of ambiguity in the text, and so if you want to find a way to justify something, you can find it, and then if you want to find a way to justify the opposite, you can also find that. So I think it's like you said, like it does come down to the person, but at the same time, like I don't think the interpretations are endless. I mean, if you really believe in a particular book, you're constrained to some extent, and if you believe like it's true, then it might lead you to behave in certain ways when you might otherwise not do that. So I think, basically I think yes, to some extent, it is about the person, but then the actual content of the book does matter, I think, to some extent. Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but isn't it then, like you said, like I would just say it's 100% the person, because if I have two people, person A and B, and I give them the same book, and one person puts it down and goes, yeah, that was a book, and goes on with their lives, and the other person puts it down and is like, I have to kill every minority in the world. It's like the independent variable in there was the book. The dependent was person A and B. So if the independent variable isn't changing, that means, A and B, they're dependent on the independent variable. It's their opportunity to take what they did from the book.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I think that makes sense.
That might have been the smartest thing I've ever said in my life, and it wasn't even that smart. Like that was like fourth grade science. So like that's my level right there.
No. I definitely see your point. I think like one sort of example I'm thinking of is the question of slavery, and just like the debate about slavery in the U.S. In the 1800s, and basically. Pro-slavery people cited the Bible to justify slavery, and like anti-slavery people also cited the Bible, like different verses.
Hilarious. By the way, what chapter is the pro-slavery side reading? Like where in the Bible is like like a little snippet? Like, by the way, you can get the blacks and just use them. Blah blah blah. All right. And anyway, now back to Jesus.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think like it's I'm not sure, in some of the Old Testament, I think like Leviticus, I think there are some things about, so this is all about like the ancient Israelites and like the conditions under which one could keep a slave and things like that. And then like there's also in the New Testament, there's something, the line I think from St. Paul saying something about slave or servants should obey their masters, which basically I think is just saying like when in the afterlife everyone's going to be equal, so it doesn't matter what really happens in this life anyway. But then like so I mean like you could find verses in the Bible to sort of support your claim, but then like the anti-slavery people said they looked just more things about like the golden rule and things like treat others how you want to be treated, and obviously most people wouldn't want to be a slave. So
they wanted to be slaves, so I had them be slaves.
So I think like but I think for someone who, so I think it does depend to some extent on like personality or whatever. But I think for someone like a white person in the South in the 1800s, like who owned slaves, they would just grow up believing that slavery is correct and would be reading the Bible. I mean, it might be the rare person who became an abolitionist from that context, but it would probably be unlikely. I mean, I think it's maybe more likely that they would just grow up believing that, and then they would find a reason to believe that. So I think like I think there's a limit to how much one's like personality could kind of influence like how you read the book. I mean, I guess probably everyone would want to say like, if I was alive in the 19th century or whatever, I would definitely be an abolitionist. I would definitely know slavery is wrong. But I mean, like if you grow up and you're sort of taught this from birth, and it's like everyone tells you that this is correct, it would definitely take like quite a bold person, I think, to kind of break out of that, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%. It goes into that nature versus nurture thing, and it goes into like if someone say from birth indoctrinated, because I think the main thing is if you had like a tree graph or whatever, there'd be say you had like a lot of people. No, I don't even know if a good amount of people will have like religion circled, and then branch off a lot of the conflict that comes from it. But that circle isn't the end circle. There's that religion branch comes from nurture, and that nurture bubble, if it will actually come from humans, like, or an idea. Actually, it goes. I would say it goes humans, branch off nurture, branch off ideas, and then branch off religion is one of the ideas that comes from that bubble. So like I think when a lot of people go and say, yeah, no, religion is the cause of this, or say even some people who there definitely are people like this who believe all conflict in the world is caused by religion. It's like, yeah, but where does religion come from? And that end branch, possibly, there could be something above it. I don't fucking know. But possibly is humans. Like at the end of the day, it was one of our ideas. It was one of human beings' ideas that came about. And it's a pretty popular fucking idea, kind of like the iPhone in a way, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, and I think like another thing maybe to add to that is like, it's also maybe about like another sort of level up from religion, is like sort of like the social structure of a society, you know, like if, I mean, I'm just saying like if there's a small sort of group of hunter-gatherers or something, like the way they whatever kind of religion they invent would be different than one that would be like a large sort of a city or something like that. It might look differently, I think. Like the kind of religion, like the way it's organized, like the whether there's like institutions or like a hierarchy in the religion, like I think it'll look different based on like a social structure, things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. You were also, before we were talking about slavery and American slavery. So what's this whole like? Because when I was reading about you on your website and everything, you're doing a pretty deep dive, it seems like, into racism, or at least the word of racism. What's going on there? Like, what are you studying when it comes to that?
Yeah, it's a project I started a couple of years ago. It's somewhat like on the back burner now, but yeah, basically,
the website's a lie.
Yeah, right.
That's not you in Norwegia or whatever, with the water in the background. By the way, beautiful picture. So, dude, I've never seen a bluer picture in my life. Everything's blue.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's that picture is in. It's in Scotland actually. Like just a friend of mine. Like
I know it.
He had a really good camera, and I'm like, I need to get like you to take a professional looking photo of me. So anyway, yeah.
Did he rub a blueberry Pop-Tart on it? I mean, Jesus Christ, dude! What the fuck?
I mean, well, hopefully, yeah. This is gonna drive people to my website to check out this pic.
Guys, fucking NathanAlexandra.com. It's gonna be in the description. Like, if this cannot be a more blue filtered fucking picture I've never seen. And like, and you're even looking into the camera of like, yeah, I know it's blue.
I think it's just like Scotland is it's very picturesque. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, on the racism thing.
Oh yeah, about racism anyway.
Yeah. It's a natural natural segue.
It's a good transition.
Yeah.
From
seamless.
blue to black, but
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Basically, I started this project a couple of years ago. Basically, the idea was like racism. The word racism is pretty widespread these days. Like, there's a lot of debates or whatever about like, you know, is this person racist or are they not, or like, is this racist or isn't it? But I sort of thought like it would be interesting to look into actually the history of the word to figure out like where it came from, like what it's meant over time, how the meanings changed, and so on. And I had sort of intended it would be a book at some point, and maybe it still will. But yeah, so basically that was the project, and I mean, I don't know. I can go into it more if you want about some of what I found.
Well, so you're going into not necessarily racism. You're going into the word racism, like
the word,
how people used it throughout history, or just the definition has changed or something.
yeah, how people have used it, just because I feel like there's such a lot of debate about like what the meaning or what the word means today. Like people will say like, this thing is racism. Like, no, that's not what racism means. Racism actually means this, and so on. So yeah, so I wanted to look at the history, and I think that's sort of like, for me anyway, I think that's an interesting way to like approach a historical topic, like actually looking at the language that people use. Um, and so what I found is actually like, it's a really recent word relatively. The first use in English was in 1903, I think.
Really? The
And
first use of
yeah,
English? Wait.
in no, so I mean the first use of the word racism in English.
Oh,
Yeah,
racism in English.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, wait, what?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No.
How the fuck were we doing
Yeah.
all that shit in 1776? What the fuck just happened? Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and yeah, I mean, like, I think like one of the really interesting things I found is some of the earliest uses of the term, like in other languages, like in French and Italian, you get people like using the word like in a sort of positive, like self-descriptive way. So there's a like a funny kind of thing, like the Italian fascists in the 1930s. They put out some like sort of manifesto, basically saying like,
That's always a bad sign. Anytime someone
yeah,
gets a manifesto going, you know shit's about to hit the fan.
yeah. Basically, they're saying like it's time for Italy to declare itself racist, and like, like it was arguing for similar. I mean, like similar to what the Nazis were arguing at the time. Um, Sort of like the supremacy of the Italian race in this case. But it's funny because like, nowadays, if like you call someone racist, it's like a really bad thing to say to someone. Like it's a really damning description. And even white supremacists really don't want to, like they'll try and say they're not racist or something, like they'll still like, they'll try and use different words. So it's sort of funny that to see like this group in the 1930s, like using it as a positive thing, like like yeah, like Italy should declare itself racist now. It sounds like to our ears, I feel like it sounds kind of pretty unusual, kind of funny. I mean, like given like the circumstances. Yeah, it was very bad, but I mean, like it just sounds kind of funny to hear it actually said that way.
Got you. So basically, in some of your research that you found this word, at one point in the English language, or at least in the beginning, near the beginning, people were proud to be racist. Like it was something. It was a good, like, yeah, no, we're racist because it's a good thing to be racist. Like like literally a complete 180 to how the word's used today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
At least I'm sorry, for the majority, because I'm sure there are some people out there that are still happy to be racist, but I think any common sense person can see that, the majority don't want to be known as racist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's like one of the really interesting things, like just to see it used as a way of like describing your own views, like in a positive way. And I think that, the way that changes is like immediately after or soon after like the Second World War, and the defeat of Nazi Germany, and like basically the revelation of like all the atrocities and so on that they committed. It sort of made, like it really made racism unfashionable, I guess to say. Like, no, after that, like
It became hot
really
topic.
Yeah. Like people really
racism is the Ed Hardy of the 40s.
Okay, that reference flew over my head.
Oh my god! Oh fuck! That's right. You're from the UK. Shit. Never mind. And by the way,
no,
you're very blessed to not know what the fuck Ed Hardy is.
Okay. All right. No, I'm from Canada actually.
I thought you were from the UK.
No, I studied there, but I'm from Canada
Oh, look
originally.
at me not
Yeah,
doing good
yeah,
enough
yeah.
research. Look
No,
at
no.
that.
No, that's all right.
That's why you're so kind.
Um,
Now I get it.
yeah, exactly right. Um, yeah. But yeah, anyway, like I think in the aftermath of the Second World War, and then like especially then like after the civil rights movement and things like that in the 60s, um, it became like, yeah, you wouldn't want to be like openly racist. And I think after that time, I think it starts to get, you know, it starts to people start to like mask their racism with other kind of like more neutral language. So I mean, like today, there are some like basically people who are white supremacists, but they'll say like, well, we're not racist, we're just like white like white nationalists or whatever, something like this, or like race realists. So I mean, so I think that's sort of like an interesting kind of historical shift
Well,
um,
with
in
white
the language.
supremacy or supremacy in general, obviously I've heard the fucking term thrown all the.
Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify, like supremacy means that when someone's a white supremacist, they're saying that like being white is the superior race, right? Yes,
Yeah,
no. Like, there's
yeah,
no. Is there anything
yeah.
else, or that's it?
I think
That's.
that's basically it.
I think
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Summer Olympics have proven that that's just false. I mean, come on. Like,
Yeah,
I think the NBA, is and baseball and the NFL. I think that is proven that is just not true. I watch enough sports where
yeah,
I don't think that's correct.
yeah. I mean, in the I think it was like the 1936 Olympics, like that was held in Berlin. I think I'm remembering this right. I think the name is Jesse Owens, who's like a African American guy. Like basically, you know, he showed up and like it's Hitler's Olympics, and like Hitler's really hoping this is going to show like the superiority of the Aryan race, and then this black guy basically does really well in the Olympics and shows like Hitler to be a fool and stuff. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there was I watched a YouTube video. I think Secret Base was the YouTube channel that did this, and they do a lot of really good deep dive sports videos. And I think isn't Jesse Owens, is he one of the ones that put like the fist up when he got his medal?
No, I think that I'm trying to think. I think that was a bit later. I think that was in the 60s. Although I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm
The
not
only
sure.
reason
Like,
there was when that happened, okay, so then I'm getting my my Olympics obviously mixed up because I'm not a big
mhm,
Olympic guy. I don't watch a
uh-huh,
lot of them. I love some of the Winter Olympics because it's like, yeah, Team White, so that's cool. But there was one guy. It might have been then during the one where the guys put the fist up and everything. There was one guy who
mhm,
was also obviously like, this is fucked up. We should all be together kind of thing. But he's really quiet about it. But
mhm,
he fucking like just decimated this long jump record by something feet.
mhm,
And yeah, I think the
mhm,
altitude helped because it was like a very thinner atmosphere.
mhm,
But like he just did it very quietly. But people barely know about him because obviously everyone was focused on the two guys who put the fist in the air during the Olympics. I just thought that just reminded me real quick. I just wanted to mention that.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think yeah. If I remember that pic or that case right, like there's two guys and like two African American guys, I guess, and they put their fist up, but then like there's a third white guy in the podium, but like he didn't. But I think there was something like I read that he didn't want to, like it wasn't like he was like disrespecting them or anything. Like he thought it wouldn't be
Ah,
appropriate or whatever for him to
yeah,
do it. So yeah,
I found it.
yeah,
I found it, and I now
mm,
remember they did a video on
hmm,
Bob's, the name Bob in sports world. How
okay,
like there's almost no one named Bob anymore more in the sports world. Where back in the day, like there was
uh-huh,
hundreds of professional
uh-huh,
athletes named Bob, and this guy's name was Bob Beeman, and
hmm,
he got the long jump right. It was and it was I think it was yeah. Robert Beeman is an American former track and field athlete, best known for his world record in the long jump at the Mexico City Olympics in 1968. That's it.
hmm,
But that, yeah, that
hmm,
I got ADHD, I think, man. So like that really triggered it right there.
Okay. Yeah.
What's it called, man? So, all right, if someone has a PhD, are they technically allowed to be called a doctor or no?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, dude. I made a trailer that has like, I'm gonna have doctors on the show, and now I can. Now that trailer is not lying anymore. Boom, done.
All right, okay.
What's up? Thank you.
Okay, good. All right, okay, good. I'm glad that I can help with that. Yeah. I mean, that's like, yeah, I guess that's one of the advantages of having a PhD, I guess. One of the few advantages, maybe.
Is there a doctor on the plane? I'm a doctor. What do you do? I'm a lawyer. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But now I'm actually, it's funny, like when I book a flight, like, you can choose like the title that you want to use, like Mr. or whatever. And I always put Mr. because I actually don't want there to. I don't want there to be a situation like that.
You don't want to deal with the shit. You just want your fucking mixed pretzels, your fucking orange juice.
Well, I mean, just that I wouldn't be. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be much help of it.
What's your? Did you mention it? What is it in? What's your doctorate in?
It's in history.
Oh, it's in
history. So, yeah. So I mean,
someone's choking on an M&M. Let me tell you about Mao China.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't come in handy then. And like, it would just, I can just imagine, a situation if like, like they're looking and like they're sort of scrolling through the passenger list. They're like, oh wait, this person has a doctorate or whatever. Yeah. And then they realize that it's not actually,
they'd be so pissed
stuff.
at you, like for putting. They'd be like,
know,
"Well,
right?
why'd you put it then?" Yeah, dude.
I know.
You'd be the biggest asshole if someone's grandmother died and you're just sitting there. Oh, they'd be. Oh, that's the doctor that didn't do anything, and she was just choking to death.
Yes. Yeah, and it's like it's a long flight, and I just need to sit there for another 6 hours or something, and everyone's just glaring at me or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, there's the one kid looking at you through the seam of the chairs just for 6 straight. Because kids, for some reason, will stare at you for hours straight. They don't give a fuck. They have no self-awareness.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit. Oh man, that's fucking. Now you have the what's it called? You have that Beyond Atheism podcast, right?
Yeah. It's a podcast I started with a friend about a year ago. And I think like in some ways, what we were talking about earlier about like these sort of obnoxious online atheists who just want to kind of like make fun of religion and kind of like start fights or whatever. And like there's a lot of like YouTube channels and stuff probably like that. But I think our podcast is trying to do something a little different, like trying to think about basically what's next, basically, beyond just having like once you kind of got this kind of phase of making fun of religion and stuff like that out of your system, like then what? So yeah, so we've
what now?
What now exactly? Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So we've been doing that for about a year.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's been pretty good so far. I'm sure it's like, it's good because we can just interview different people and so on. It's an excuse to meet different people and talk with them, and it's been pretty fun so far, I think. Yeah,
I think my main gripe with a lot of atheists that I've seen on the internet, and after this podcast, I'll probably just go back to being like, I fucking hate him. I hate him. Even though I don't, because I don't hate you.
Okay,
but
that's good.
My main two things are, one, it feels like, because I'm from the Northeast, man, more people, in my mind, more people, especially around my age, are atheists than religious people. So in my mind, they're the majority. Yet they act like religious people are like, oh, you guys just want people to think the way you think and believe. It's like, no, you guys also, you too, you fucking like just let. It's like it's that one episode of South Park where they have the commentary. It's just like, stop being that annoying 5th grader telling all the 3rd graders that Santa doesn't exist. Everyone's happy with Santa existing. Just like, why do you have to be that annoying guy? And then the second thing is, I love good comedy. All right. I love funny shit. I love laughing. And when I see today, Nathan, it's the year 2022, man. And I see comedians make an anti-Christian joke, right? It blows my mind that they write that joke as if, oh yeah, this is some original shit right here, man. No one's like, dude, like this isn't 1988. Like it's over. The anti-Christian and almost the majority anti-religion jokes are so unoriginal now that it bleeds. My ears bleed when I listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do feel like, yeah, you mentioned like being in the Northeast, and like it's the same. Like I'm in Southern Ontario in Canada, and I think like it's a really there's not much like it's not like the Deep South or something like that, or the Bible Belt or whatever, where like religious people really are dominant. And I mean, like I feel like yeah, I mean, I don't feel like oppressed in any way as an atheist or whatever. But I think like it is the case though, in in some parts of the world and really religious communities, it is like atheists and non-religious people really are kind of discriminated against minority or whatever. So I think yeah, I think that's something to say. Yeah.
Well, then go have a Twitter post, and then when you go to Who Sees This, be like, only the Bible Belt, and like that way I don't, I want you to change your whole life so I don't get annoyed. All right, that will make me very happy to everyone. Is that too much to ask for the whole world to change for me?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe how blue this picture is, dude. I cannot believe how fucking blue this picture. I'm looking at it again. It's the rocks are matching your shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I'm going to see a huge increase in traffic to my website.
I really hope so, man. I mean, I know that I want this podcast to grow, dude. I'm not one of those fucking lame people who's like, oh, I just do this for fun. It's like, then don't make it out for the public. You obviously want people to listen.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'm hoping this shit fucking kicks off, because conversations like these are funny as shit, man. I love shit like this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's fun, and like, yeah, I think it's valuable to talk about these issues and stuff. Yeah.
What's the fantasy novel that you're writing? The Royal Beast and the Revolution?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that, my man.
All right. Okay, cool. Yeah. It's a novel I started during the pandemic. Basically, like, I don't know if you watched like Game of Thrones.
Oh, jeez. No, my girl did, and I saw some episodes, and then there was one episode where this guy goes in a brothel, and this girl goes into like a backwards backflip stretch or whatever, and her vagina's in this guy's face. And I was like, I saw that, and I'm like, I gotta go jerk off. Like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I can't watch this show. I'm jerking off way too much. So I only saw a few episodes because I'm like, I'm watching a porno. Like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely, that was one way they drew in viewers, I guess. But it's basically, the idea is like, it's a fantasy, like there's there's dragons and magic and stuff like that, but it's also kind of like realistic, like in the sense of like, people die gory deaths, and like there's sex and violence and stuff like that. And basically my idea with this novel was to like write a novel in a more like a fantasy novel in a more modern setting. So a lot of fantasy seems to be from like the Middle Ages or something like that. Whereas like the one I wrote, it's more in the 1800s, which is the area of my own like specialization, I guess. So like there's guns and like factories and railways and things. But there's also like dragons and other sort of mythical creatures and so on.
Wiener, blah blah blah. I don't know if you saw that South Park trilogy, but I can't get that out of my head when I think of Game of Thrones.
I, yeah, I don't know that that particular episode, but
All right.
yeah. So I think anyway, yeah. So I finished the novel now, and I'm trying to find the way you have to do it is you have to find an agent first, and then once you get an agent, then they can try and find a publisher for you who will purchase like or who will buy the book and publish it. So I'm still at the agent searching for an agent stage. I haven't had much traction so far, but here's hoping I can find someone. I mean, I like it. I like the book that I've written, and I think it's cool. So, yeah. I mean, mostly what I really want is for it to get published, and then it gets made into a TV show because I would like to watch it.
My main purpose is to become really, really rich and famous.
Well, I mean,
so I can afford a better color filtered camera.
I think it would be cool, like, to see it as a TV show, basically. But yeah, it'd also be nice to be rich and famous. Yeah, that would also be pretty good, I guess.
I guess one major thing that's probably making it harder, I mean, if it wasn't already hard to publish a book to begin with, is that I'm sure I'm not sure, like, I know for a fact when Game of Thrones came out, everyone and their mother wanted to get a TV show or movie that was similar to it. So I'm sure a lot of people also started writing books with similar aspects of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I mean, especially like the dragons, like that's been done a lot, I think. But I feel like mine it's an original spin on it, I think, because it is this more modern setting with more modern technology. It's not like sword battles and whatever. So yeah, I think, not that I'm I'm not that really well read in like fantasy or anything like that, but I feel like it's sort of a unique take, and hopefully, hopefully some agent will agree with me and decide they want to take me on as a client or whatever. So
part of me wants to read it, but part of me wants to be like, I'll have my girl read it and then she'll just tell me the cliff notes on it.
Okay. Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with like your book or you. Like I've tried reading. I just start like, and then I don't actually even sleep. What I do is I go, all right, I'm going to read 20 pages. And then I'm like speed reading. Like, I got to get through this. It's like, I'm never enjoying it.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I mean, that's somewhat the same for me. Especially because like when I was like doing my PhD, it's really about trying to read stuff, like get through a book as fast as you can. And absorb as much information as you can, and then you can be finished with it. But obviously, when it comes to a novel, like it's a little bit different. Like you can't really adapt that approach. Like how fast can I get through this and get to the main point or whatever? So I think there was many years where I didn't read any novels at all because it just was too difficult to sort of focus or whatever.
Yeah, hopefully it gets easier to publish books because I think, with like at one point you had to be like, say, on a TV network or be part of a TV show to get anywhere. And then, YouTube comes out, and then there's Twitch and then some streaming services to a degree has made that easier for a lot of people. I think in the world of like podcasting, at first, like you had to be part of a radio station, be a disc jockey, work your way up from producer or intern, and again, be part of a local radio network. Now, look at me, look at yourself, look at anyone can have a podcast now. So it just seems like with the world of publishing a book, it just seems like it seems like it's been so hard forever with that kind of stuff. I'm sure as the years go on, or maybe even today, it's a lot easier to get published to a degree.
Yeah, I think it's like you can get you can self-publish your book pretty easily, like through Amazon or something like that. But then, like, I think it's easier, but then it's also more difficult, like, to reach an audience, just because there's so much there's just so much out there, just with anything. I mean, with podcasts, with videos, and so on. It's like, how do you even begin to kind of like, you know, find what you are looking for? I mean, I think like with YouTube or whatever, like the algorithm sort of decides like what videos get pushed to the top of the searches or whatever. But with a novel or something, like it's really difficult probably to find an audience. Like if you don't already have a platform already, or if you don't have like a traditional kind of like publisher to go with to advertise the book and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's like in some ways it is easier, but then how to actually get people to read it or watch or listen to what you're doing.
Just,
I mean,
just say it's a third chapter of the Bible or whatever, and then people will read it. Like, you fucking listen to this shit. All right. Yeah, no, that's funny and true, because like once something becomes easy, then everyone does it. It's like opening a pizza place.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, we should open a pizza. You know who likes pizza? Everyone. We should do. It's like, yeah, like everyone has a fucking pizza place. I get that's kind of the beauty of entertainment, though. It's, you know, it's hard to create, but there's not that much out there. So, you know, if you are entertaining, it will be created. And then vice versa, it's easy to create, but everyone has it. Well, it's like, don't worry. If your shit actually is good and entertaining, it will weed through all the bullshit and it'll make it. They'll eventually listen to it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and also just about trying to figure out like who your audience would be, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, but it is tough to to like initially, I guess, to get it out to a wider audience.
Gotcha. All right, hey man, Nathan, this was cool, man. It was a good episode. I was happy that you came on. I really felt like if I didn't have you on, I would have felt like I only had like half a show with the other show in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And vice versa if this was the other one.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully you've changed, or that you see that not all atheists are obnoxious.
I'm gonna make a Twitter post like right after and be like, this fucking guy was trying to convert me. He's a piece of shit. I fucking hate the color blue. It used to be my second favorite color. Right. It's fucking bullshit.
Right. Yeah. All right.
All right, man. All right, I'll talk to you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks a lot.